Well, now it is time for our top 5 segment, man. And this week, it is top 5 films that surprised us by either being better or worse than what we initially thought just from the trailers. Man, oh man, this was definitely interesting because it's a balancing act of good and bad.
Yes, I
right?
did the same thing. I mixed them. I'm going to give you some that surprised me by being way better than I thought, some that surprised me by unfortunately being way worse than I thought. So,
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm going to start off with my number 5, which goes to Horizon American Saga. And I'm going to go good, better than what I thought. Because when we first announced Horizon American Saga on the show, I was like, this is, Kevin Costner just leaning more into the cowboy stuff, westerns, things like that. I actually had no faith in it
yeah.
at all. I was more curious because it was initially supposed to be part 1 and part 2, two different films released within the same month or 2 months back to back or something like that. I can't remember the exact time frame, but honestly, I went into it optimistic. I try to do that with every film, and I was surprised. It is written kind of like a limited series or a television show, which makes sense because he's been so successful on Yellowstone. So that's kind of what he was more used to at the time of writing this project during the pandemic, and the actor strike. But it's kind of sad because I am curious to see where the story will go. We might get Horizon 2 on Max at some point. I don't think it'll be theatrically released, but it is better than what a lot of people thought it was going to be honest. Obviously, it's a very niche audience that they are targeting, older white people, obviously. But it still was good. I was by far the youngest person in the theater by at least 31 years. But it's fine. But yeah, I mean, Horizon American Saga, it was better than what I thought it was going to be.
I would agree with that assessment, and I think unfortunately it was a victim of the Yellowstone hate. Remember, at the time that this movie was released, Kevin Costner was in a publicity nightmare trying to spin out of the hate he was getting for leaving Yellowstone and forcing that to go on that big hiatus gap and then having to write him off and all the stuff he was kind of saying about it. And I think the film ended up being a victim of that. And that's too bad because it's actually a really good film. And like you said, maybe we get 2 on Max, but I don't think we'll ever see the third part. It's a trilogy, so I don't know how they do that because from what I understand, they've already shot the second part.
No, I'm pretty sure it was 4.
Okay, yeah, then even still, they've already shot the second one.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you finish the story because I don't think he's going to convince the studio to give him more money to do the other ones. So, and 2, I'm guessing, leaves off on a cliffhanger, which will suck. But, oh well, I'd still like to see it. I hope it does make the light of day somehow. I'm going to start off with one that underwhelmed me, failed me, was far worse than I was expecting. I was super pumped. I'm going back to the 90s. Man, I have a theme tonight with the 90s. What the fuck? I'm going back to the 90s, and I'm talking about the Matthew Broderick version of Godzilla. The way they hyped this thing, I will say this, the marketing was brilliant. They spent so much money on the marketing. This thing was everywhere, and the trailers were brilliant. Everything was so good. And then you go into the movie and you realize quickly, I'll say quickly, that this movie was nothing like the hype machine had built it up to be. The Godzilla you are normally used to seeing, forget it. Didn't exist, wasn't there. This was literally a giant lizard. Looked like a giant lizard, did not look like Godzilla in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. It was bad. It was really bad. And I felt bad for Matthew Broderick because this was a stinker you were never... and it took him a long time to recover from this to get other gigs afterwards. It was that bad. Yeah, severely let me down. It was one that I was really hyped for. I was really pumped up. I'm an old school guy. I love the old Godzilla movies. I like the Godzilla cartoons. I was like, oh, we're going to do a remake, and this one looks like it could be a little bit of a spin differently. But no, it was a spin differently, okay, but not in the way you wanted it to. So yeah, my number 5, sadly, Godzilla.
Oh man, oh man. Well, I mean, it looks like it was your number six.
Yeah,
You
why
got
do I have
six on your.
six?
I don't
What?
know.
What? What? What is going on there? Like,
Looks like you're gonna have to take one out or do an honorable mention
I'll
or
do it. Let's
something.
do Godzilla as my honorable mention then. I don't even know how there's six on there. Whatever. This has been a day for me, y'all. But there you go. So you get
Apparently.
a nice little fill for Godzilla.
Yeah, there you go. There
What
you
the
go.
fuck? Our
So do you
top
want to do
11.
your number? Do
That's
you want to
yeah.
do your number
Let me
five?
do my number five. I told you I was going to tease. So let me do my legit number five, which is a film that did impress me, was far better than I thought. If you guys remember when we first announced this thing on the show, I said, horrible idea. This should never be fucking done. Patrick Swayze and this movie was like one of those ones you shouldn't touch. And I was adamant. I was like, even with Jake Gyllenhaal, do not touch this movie. It would be disrespectful. It was so good. It was so original. I was wrong. Roadhouse, the remake with Gyllenhaal, was actually really good. They didn't go spot on frame for frame remake. They twisted it up a little bit, gave him a different background, made it a bit of a different story. Yes, he's still a fighter, still coming to be a bouncer at a bar, rescue a bad bar from some people and stuff. But the premise was a little bit different. And for me, I was pleasantly surprised by this one. It really worked. I thought Conor McGregor was going to be over the top stupid. I was like, this is just fucking crazy. This is going to be awful. No, Conor was actually really funny. He was a bad guy and he was supposed to be like this tough, but he was funny as hell in this thing and was the perfect balance of comic relief with in-your-face action and kind of like a sad storyline almost. So yeah, this one worked for me. Pleasantly surprised. I highly recommend watching it if you haven't already and get ready for the sequel. And now that Guy Ritchie's attached to direct the sequel, it's going to be good because Guy Ritchie knows how to do these type movies. So yeah, my number five, my legit number five, Roadhouse. I liked it.
There you go. There you go.
Just
My number four goes to Black Adam. I was highly disappointed and surprised by this one. Honestly, because, they were Marvel and DC were both trying to get Dwayne The Rock Johnson in their franchises for the longest time. And he was siding more with DC and the Black Adam character because I guess he had more connection with it. And, when they were during the pandemic and they were doing that DC Con or whatever the fuck it was, like I was very excited. I was very freaking excited. And I mean, come on. The Rock as a superhero, like his body is meant to be a superhero. And then it was such a disappointment. It was a very cookie cutter, cut and dry story that really didn't add a lot of depth or emotion to the characters. This was that in between time where DC was trying to still figure their shit out and then about to name James Gunn and Peter Safran as, co CEOs. And this was definitely a letdown, I mean, and they, especially at the very end when they imply, Shazam and fucking Superman. I'm just like, what? Why are you trying to set things up when this is already 6 feet in the ground? That makes absolutely no sense. But yeah, number four for me, Black Adam. Absolutely disappointed.
which is a shame, yeah, because he came out and publicly announced that Henry Cavill was back as Superman and would be moving forward, and of course we all know that did not happen, did not go well. I it sucks because this movie, the cast was stellar. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate was just like incredible.
Yeah.
The costumes were spot on. It looked great. But it was a weak ass storyline, and it was not. I agree with you. It just was not done well. It seemed like it was rushed. That there just wasn't much meat to the characters. They looked fantastic. If you had ripped them out and put them straight off a comic book page into this movie, they nailed the costumes. But that's about all they nailed. I'm right there with you. Yeah, it was kind of a disappointment. And it leads right into my number four. Same thing. What? What happened? My number four is Wonder Woman 84. Of course, set in 1984. Patty Jenkins and Gail Dote gave us like the perfect Wonder Woman. It was so good. There were homages to the original Superman film. There were like homages to the comic book. They took great pride in developing her character in Amazon Island and like all these different things. And so you're thinking, shit, the sequel's gonna kick ass, you know? And now we're set in the 80s, so we're moving it a little bit forward, playing off the immortality type thing with Diana, and it sucked. It was so bad. I wasn't even convinced Patty Jenkins wrote or directed this thing. I'm like, are we sure she did? Or are we just saying she did? Because it was so drastically different from the first film. This was a very much in-your-face, campy, over-the-top popcorn film that just didn't work. I mean, Cheetah was awful. It was absolutely... The version of how they pulled off Cheetah sucked. And Pedro Pascal's Maxwell Lord, hopefully James Gunn gets Maxwell Lord right in Superman, because Patty Jenkins got him completely fucking wrong in Wonder Woman 84. Yeah, I don't know. This thing just fell apart from the moment the credits rolled. It was just like, it sucked. The opening credits, not even the end credits, the opening credits. As soon as it came up, it was like over. It was so bad. The explanation about how they brought Steve back was disastrous. It was just, it sucked, y'all. Like, and I'm disappointed. I'm not surprised. I liked Gal Gadot. In fact, I loved Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, but I'm not surprised that they've decided not to move forward with her as the character, even though they could have. Just because Patty ruined it so bad, like, which is a shame, because Patty's a great filmmaker and she did such a great job with the first one. But yeah, do not waste your time on Wonder Woman 84. It sucked.
Yeah, completely agree. But my question to you is, do you think if it was released in theaters that you would have a little bit better of a reaction to it instead of it being released as strictly on Max?
No, I think this was a victim. I think Patty Jenkins was a victim of the studio system, because I remember us reporting on it. This film was so drastically different from the film that we saw. There were multiple rewrites. They made her change a bunch of stuff. They they kind of took over that film and took away Patty Jenkins' version of what her sequel was meant to be. So I'm saying it. I guess it really wasn't Patty Jenkins that wrote and directed it, because the studio did step in and force a bunch of stuff that Patty just was not really on board with, and it showed. So I don't even think if this was theatrically released, it would have worked. It was just bad. I don't know what Warner Brothers was thinking, trying to make the changes that they made to that film. They shouldn't have. It was bad.
Yeah, completely agree, man. Completely agree. Well, my number 3, this is the dead horse that you should not beat, but you have to keep beating because it's so bad. Because they hyped it up so much, and
gosh.
a lot of people hyped it up so much. But I mean, I liked Nosferatu, so maybe it was the same. I mean, it's the same director. But Lighthouse. Lighthouse is awful. So bad. So weird. Such a waste of time. Not even gonna lie. It was one of those films where we wanted to walk out.
We did.
And we don't walk out of films.
No,
like,
we kept looking at it like, now?
Yeah, it was so bad, and like could have fallen asleep. The cinematography was not great either. Like I really don't know what they were going for, and I don't understand how it got nominated by the Academy that year, because it was nominated in a whole bunch of freaking Oscar categories.
It was.
And luckily, I don't think won anything.
I don't think so.
But yeah, number 3 for me, Lighthouse. We've talked about it a lot, so I don't want to keep going on and on. But it's definitely one of those you have to keep bringing up and being like, hey guys, remember that this is a bad film? It still didn't age well.
Probably worse. It probably is even worse now than it was when we were saying it was really bad. Just... It made no sense. It made no, other than the fact that 2 guys stuck on a lighthouse during an extended season would probably go mad, but it just didn't. Didn't work. It didn't work. And it's 2 great actors. That was the disappointing part, right? I mean, Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. You would think, them going insane probably be awesome. No, it just wasn't. My number 3, I didn't know what to expect. That's why this one was on my list of ones that surprised me in a good way. I had hopes for this one, but I was really leaning more towards it wasn't going to work. And I was wrong. I'm talking about Challengers. This was a brilliant performance by Zendaya and both her male co-stars. The directing of this film was very unique, very original. The shot selection, the over-the-top loud music to control the beats in the timing of the tennis matches. It was very unique, very original. I know a lot of people were like, what the fuck with the music? But it was clearly a filmmaking technique of beats to control the timing of the tennis matches, because the music was always the loudest during the matches. And as a filmmaker, I liked it. I thought it was original and a unique idea on how to do that. But this is one of those ones that had people talking for sure. And any film that can make people talk, whether you liked it or hated it, it did its job. It was art put out there that caused conversation, and that's why I love it so much. It was well surpassed my expectations. A far better movie than I thought it was going to be, and really a more emotional, story-driven drama than I thought it was going to be. There was a lot of depth to these three characters and that triangle of a relationship that I just wasn't expecting and was pleasantly surprised by. So yeah, my number 3, Challengers.
Yeah, most definitely. That was one that I had to sit with and then realize that I liked it. But like after walking out of the theaters, I mean, it was just like, what did I just watch? Because it's wild. None of them are good people.
Yeah, no, they're bad.
None of them are good people. You're not really rooting for anyone, and that's always something that I want to have in a film. I want to root for somebody, and you don't have that here. But you do have a lot of creative filmmaking decisions, and you do have the techniques that were implemented, like you said. But I mean, overall, like it's the mentality of being the best. That's what that film is about. The mentality of being the best, and how sometimes love can cross into that and fuck your world up.
Yeah, and what that film. Struggle to be the best can do, right? It can fuck up your life because it consumes you and it messes up everything else involved. And like, yeah, they did do a really good job of highlighting that.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. Well, my number 2 is the first film in the artist equity banner, under that banner, I should say, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's company, which they completely changed the game and opened up different inspirations for different companies to try to maneuver how their pay scales work and, reimbursements, financing, and things like that. I'm talking about Air, the freaking movie about Nike trying to get Michael Jordan. I really thought this was going to be really good or really bad. And guess what? It's really freaking good. So I loved the acting performances. Matt Damon is so underrated. He's always like talked about and he's always in these big movies, but he's so underrated. Because he's such a good freaking actor. Like, everybody thinks he peaked with like Good Will Hunting and a couple of other films, but what he was able to do, what Jason Bateman was able to do, Chris Tucker, even Ben Affleck playing the douchebag owner, creator of Nike, was absolutely amazing. Viola Davis as Michael Jordan's mom was absolutely amazing as well. And I just felt like you felt the anticipation, you felt the anxiousness, you felt the company about to go under because they needed something to be successful. And I think what this film did was brought a lot of color. It brought a lot of nostalgia with the 80s, trying to draft Michael Jordan out of North Carolina. And it brought a lot of fun, too. And I just love this film. This is definitely one of the most rewatchable movies, in my opinion, ever. But yeah, number 2 for me, Air.
I would agree wholeheartedly, but I differ from you in the sense that I was all in on it from the get-go. I love Matt Damon as an actor. I've said this time and time again. I think Ben Affleck is a far better director than actor. Not that he's a bad actor, but he's a brilliant director. So when you tell me it's starring Damon and Affleck is directing and it's set in the 80s, I'm all in. And then it's telling a story that I actually lived through. I was there for all of that kind of stuff and the launch of the Jordans, and I loved it. It's one of my all-time favorite movies now, and I just think it's a brilliant piece of work. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think Matt Damon still to this day is an underrated actor, which is fucking ridiculous. And I can't wait to see Nolan highlight him in Odyssey. Him and Bernthal both. Because they're both severely underrated. So the fact that Christopher Nolan has got them and is going to show the world what these guys are capable of, just like, hell yeah. I don't even have to talk a lot about my number two. I think
No.
everybody agrees, and we have
Yeah.
relentlessly talked about it. My number two, I went into it with all expectations. I was riding high. I think this is going to be one of the greatest Marvel movies ever. It's going to just absolutely play off of Ragnarok, and it's going to be the just my favorite Thor and possibly Hulk film ever. And it was fucking disaster. Like Thor Love and Thunder was the biggest misfire that Marvel has ever had, in my opinion. Even worse than the Iron Man one with the Mandarin. What was that, 2, 3? They were banking on the fact that Ragnarok was so original, how they blended the comedic tone into it and the relationship between Hulk and Thor, and they were banking on it. And they basically tried to recreate it in Love and Thunder, and Taika Waititi, who I think is a brilliant filmmaker, failed miserably. It just missed on every single thing. The acting was subpar, the pacing was bad, the story was bad. It was not good. That's all I can say. It's my least favorite Marvel movie. I just Thor: Love and Thunder. It's awful. Don't waste your time. You can literally skip this one and be fine in the continuity of the stories. You don't even have to see this one. It sucked.
Yeah, completely agree. I liked Eternals more than this. And that's saying
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
That's
totally.
saying something. So there that is. We'll just let that lie. My number one, if you are a historic listener to this podcast, you know when this movie was about to come out, I was hating on it hardcore, man. I did not think that it was going to be successful. I thought it looked stupid, and I just was absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. I'm talking about Free Guy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Reynolds in this video game adaptation, basically. He is a video game character going through his day to day life. I thought it was going to be so stupid, but the amount of pop culture references, the amount of action sequences, the amount of cameos from other Marvel people, it was amazing. I love it so freaking much. And they're talking about doing a second one eventually, but I know Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy are so busy doing so many other things. But this one I was so wrong about. It is so freaking good. It's so freaking funny. And it hits all the nostalgia feels, especially with Disney,
Yeah.
with Star Wars and Marvel. So yeah, I can't talk about it enough. But yeah, number one for me, Free Guy.
I love it. It's a great choice, and you know what it does? It's because, like you said, it has all the nostalgia feel, and it has all the cameos, and all of that stuff works. And it's a video game adaptation, but it has a very Matrix feel, like he's
Hmm.
living inside and then he's disconnected. Kind of it's some sort of a weird, beautiful blend of like video game and Matrix, kind of
Yeah.
and it just worked. It really was an entertaining film. I'm right there with you. My number one, I didn't know what to expect. I was kind of like, I'm going to give it a shot because I'm not paying to see it. It's on streamer, and I'll be, if it sucks, kind of a thing. And by the time this movie hit, they had already had a couple misses. The franchise, in my opinion, was pretty much dead. That one with Olivia Munn, and God bless her, I love Olivia Munn, but that whatever one that was, third one, whatever, it was so bad. I'm like, okay, give up. It's time to end the Predator franchise because this sucks. There's just you can't tell any more stories. Well, Trachtenberg proved me wrong. He's like, what if we go before Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers characters? Let's show that Predator's been here longer than we think. Let's do a prequel. And holy shit, this thing was epic. It infiltrated into the Native American lands, and it was all about the Indians and how they adapted to fight this thing. And it was so good. It was so original. It was such a unique spin on, and it really started getting your brain going. How long have they been here? Have they been here even prior to that? Have they been like, how long have they been hunting Earth beings? But it was just so unique and so original. And I just the young actress who played her. I want to give her a shout out here because she was just phenomenal. She blew me away. Amber Midthunder, just unreal. Her character was brilliantly written. Her performance was brilliant. And so I'm excited for this new one coming. They're doing it again where they're kind of taking a unique spin and taking the Predator franchise, but away from the Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers type feel of it and just making it its own unique thing. So I'm super pumped about it. But yeah, if you haven't checked out Prey, do yourselves a favor and do it because it's outstanding. My number one, Prey.
Yes, most definitely, man, most definitely. Well, we want to know, what film were you surprised by, good or bad? Be sure to let us know in the YouTube comment sections, the Spotify comment sections, add us on X, Threads, Blue Sky, freaking Instagram, any of the places, man. We're anywhere and everywhere. Please be sure to do that. We love the fan interaction, and we definitely want to know your thoughts and opinions.
For sure.